Hey everybody, this is a quick deck tech for Aragorn the Uniter. Red, green, white, and blue casting cost. It's a legendary creature, a human noble. Whenever you cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Aragorn the Uniter deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets 4 until end of turn. I would say the biggest mode that I like is the 4/4 until end of turn. However, we can win a variety of ways. We can burn people out in this particular deck. We get a little bit of advantage with playing blue. We don't play as much blue in here for the Scry 2, but we definitely have some blue cards, especially some of our multicolored legendaries. And whenever we cast a white spell, we'll create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. I think a lot of you are familiar with this card and definitely know that Aragorn's best buddies, I'd say, are Omnath is such a good card. It basically shares all the color identity of this commander, so it gets all the modes at once. That's a very cool interaction. There's not many other cards that I have in this deck that share all the colors, such as that card, like Omnath, but there are others like Saruk Dragonclaw that has 3 of the colors as well. So there's a lot of cool payoffs. There's a lot of nice cards we can play, including Bard class. Bard class is going to be very good at reducing the red and green from these casting costs by paying into a red and green when we have that card. It's basically our trump card. Once we have that kind of leveled up, we can go from there and kind of get ahead with all our legendaries. That cost reduction is significant. So Aragorn the Uniter, without further ado, we're just going to kind of look at the nice 3-drop cards here. They're just really fantastic. These are all like kind of the brick and mortar cards, like the meat of our deck is the really strong 3-drops. So here we go. There's Derevi. It's good at untapping or tapping creatures, especially good with our mana dorks, or if we need to get in with Aragorn for commander damage. And then Pakal. This is just going to be very good. Good card that's going to be really good with our Winota, actually. And additionally, it will also be really solid with our Halana Elena. It's going to be a very cool card. Here's Klothys. A lot of these cards are just very good at adding mana to our mana pool to help accelerate us. And the 3-drops are just kind of, if you look at these, you can all see they are very similar in that they offer some form of card advantage to an extent, maybe not too much, but definitely accelerating with lands is they definitely are a good threat. And they also keep the heat off of Aragorn, right? Fabro Elder, Adeline. Additionally, we have some nice 3-drops here that are multi-phase cards. So there's the extent of the 3-drops. Here's our 2-drops, starting with Shadow Skull Smashing, also a land. Arcane Signet, Eladamri's Call. It's a tutor for our creatures. This will be the Ruby, the new tracker from Wilds of Eldraine, and Catilda Dawnheart Prime. That will be there. I'm still getting those cards. Hajar, the Loyal Bodyguard. There's Bar Class, the card we were kind of extent. Because we did talk about this, I will read the card. For red and green, gain the next level as a sorcery to add to its ability. So you play this on your turn, and then you have to activate these modes during your turn. And just by it coming out, our legendary creatures will enter an additional 1/1 counter on them, which is pretty big. They kind of get stronger already. Then level 2, legendary spells you cast cost red, green, less to cast. This effect reduces only amount of colored mana you pay. Level 3, whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. There's just that kind of, I mean, if you're running low on gas, or maybe you are anticipating a board wipe or something, maybe level 3 is the one you want to get to. And if you're starting to cast your legendaries off of level 3, you can get it kind of out of hand pretty quick with Aragorn. So that's really nice. Lotus Cobra, we're playing an abundance of fetch lands and the Prismatic Vista. So this card is just going to be good. It can get us ahead. And it's a low-cost creature. We're not playing Landfall per se, but I think it's just solid. It kind of fixes our mana. Same thing with Nissa. It kind of serves that similar purpose, right? Bloom Tender. fantastic 2-drop. It is so good with our multicolored cards, and it will just produce the mana of the amounts of colored permanents we have on the battlefield. So with an Aragorn on the battlefield, we're going to produce 4 of that color, and we can add 1 mana of any of that color. So it's pretty cool. So for each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. Okay. So it's a very cool card there. 3 visits. Search your library for a forest card, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Nature's Lore, fantastic. All those forests come in untapped, which is very nice. Magda, good legendary, just like kind of bard class classicness right there. Very cool. Jawari Disruption, a very cool just multi-phase card we can play as a land or just maybe even hold up as a little sneaky counter spell. Lotus Petal, that really fast acceleration that would kind of, if we get this in an opener, we can really start getting ahead with it. It's a very cool card. Mox Amber, very good with our legendaries. If we have a legendary permanent on the battlefield, we can tap this for the color that it is associated with. So it's amongst the legendary creatures and planeswalkers. Soul Ring. Soul Ring is a 1-cost artifact that just adds 2 colorless. Skrelv, fantastic, good protection for us. Giver of Runes is another option. I like Skrelv because he's a legendary. Will be going good with our bar class if we ever get to that level 5. I just like the flavor of Skrelv too. I just love it. Enlightened Tutor. We can just kind of swim through these. They're kind of all our tutor cards, and we have our removal like swords. So I am definitely interested to see how our counterspell suite works out. Additionally, we're going to be playing a March. So these are going to kind of have to save us. So hopefully by keeping that 1 blue open, we can also kind of sneakily get in one of these Mystical's Disputes here and there, and like looking for like a Rishkar's Expertise or a Last March of the Ents. That would be very cool for us. But yeah, we're looking for these to kind of keep our board intact and keep Aragorn safe. So a lot riding on these 3 cards, including the Jawari, but I think they're up to the task. Faithless Looting, this kind of just helps us filter through the deck. Additionally, it also helps our Uro for the escape cost, just kind of like putting things in our yard. It just helps so much for Uro. Uro really needs that. So hopefully Looting can get us there. Ragavan, just a fantastic card. These are all our single cost, like 1 mana plays that are just so very strong. They can get us ahead like no other colors can. These green kind of ramp spells, very strong, especially red. Red has it to a degree, but it's less permanent, right? Like in the form of treasures. So very interesting concepts. So here's Spark Double, Sakashima. These are our shapeshifters for Aragorn. They both fulfill a similar role. Additionally, we have Winota and Toski here for these 2. Halan and Elena, very good at getting Aragorn and itself strong with Aragorn on the battlefield. Very strong card here. You have to remember though, you wouldn't be able to buff Halan and Elena unless you played another green spell afterwards, because once it's cast, that's when the triggers for Aragorn start. So before this even touches the battle, basically once it's cast, then you have to do the Aragorn triggers, then this thing hits the battlefield after the fact. Okay? So there's Halan and Elena. Jetmir, the Nexus of Rebels. Narset, the last. Both of these are just, all of these are just so good. All these creatures that are multicolored for us, they really just make our deck sing. Like, make all the triggers happen, you know, they make all the triggers go. If you do this, if you're accomplishing this, you're going to be doing well. Okay, Smothering Tithe, Xenagos, Mirari's Wake. These are just all these exceptional, and they should be, you know, they're the high casting cost spells. They're all very exceptional. They do exceptional things. Probably Smothering Tithe for the 4 mana rate is probably the most crazy card we have, especially in the commander format. You're just going to be making so many treasures because people don't want to pay the 2. And you'll just make a treasure. It's crazy. So, yeah, that card is fantastic. What else we got going on? Embercleave, very good with Aragorn to get in for our commander lethal. Rishkar's expertise. Yeah. We have Last March will be up here, Last March of the Ents. And then, yeah, Rishkar's expertise. You can see the cast goes, Aragorn becomes a 9/9, or your other big creature on the battlefield becomes that number. And then you're drawing, you know, so many cards. It's crazy. It's just so good. So, yeah, these green draw spells are just really strong. Of course, you'd consider Return of the Wild Speaker, but I also want to give a warning about that, is that with that card, Aragorn is not a I think, what is the verbiage on the last card? A non-human creature. So, unfortunately, Aragorn is a human, so if he was the only creature on your battlefield and you casted that, and you had a 9/9 Aragorn, you'd draw 0 cards. Because, yeah, he is a human and not a non-human creature equal to its power. But this one is just the greatest power amongst creatures we control. It doesn't specify human or non-human. So this will be fine. And then we'll get to cast a 5-mana spell from our hand without paying its mana cost, so you guys can see this card is insane too. And then, of course, we have all our, you know, dreamy cards here that we'll just be dreaming about casting, like Seagate Restoration, the Maria's Call, Turn Timber Symbiosis. Last March of the Ents will definitely be casting that. But Great Henge kind of serves our purpose here. It's going to get us, we're going to cast it for a low cost. We're going to be bringing out a creature and casting them and then drawing cards. So whenever non-token creatures ends up available in your control, put a 1/1 counter on and you draw a card. Additionally, this card is reduced to cast based on the power of a creature we have. So if Aragorn's a 9/9 or reaches, you know, a 7/7 would be like your, you know, your baseline, then this card couldn't be reduced any further. It would just cost 2 green. And then you're just basically getting your green back here, just by this artifact being here. And then all you have to do is cast creatures then, and you'll draw cards for that. Yes, so just go ahead and drop some creatures and get some value off of them. That's fantastic. Okay. And then our lands, we're just going to be, we're going to be playing each of the basics. We're going to be playing shock lands. We're going to be playing check lands. Those are also fantastic. We'll have our bond lands here as well. So most of our lands come in untapped. Most of our duels come in without any penalties. Our triomes, of course, will come in tapped, but other than that, we're pretty much living the mana dream right here amongst all these shock lands and fetch lands and sprucey command towers. What we're going to be doing, we have these nice, really cool legendary spell lands too. We have Plaza, Prismatic Vista. We play all the basics, like I said. We will also have the slow lands too, a few of those as well. And Secluded Courtyard to name human. And then these last two will be the Forbidden Orchard and Amina's Tirith. And my friends, we're looking at 43 lands here, including our multi-phase spell cards. We're looking at a whole bucket load of creatures. So I will post a list. Please take a look at it. Enjoy. Good luck with all your magic. Don't get too frustrated. It seems like, in my opinion, like a 1-versus-1 format. Mid-range is very good. I'd say, what is the commander? The last sliver, or the first sliver, I suppose it's called, is just very good. You have like a kind of finality with that, where you don't really have to do much except maybe like ramp and like cultivate and like whatever else you want to. Just get those lands. Play like, what is it? I think it's called the Prismatic Lantern, or the artifact that makes all your lands rainbow lands. And then play like an abundance of board wipes, like Sunfall, Shadow of the Sky, even what's called Farewell. And then basically you're just going to be getting so much of that valued with, like, you know, you can play all those things like, oh my god, what is that one card? It's Fight Rigging. Oh my god, Fight Rigging with the first sliver looks insane. So you just have that finality where you're just like moving to that like kind of zone, right? that value zone, and you don't have to like interact too much. You just have to kind of wait till you get to that 5-mana card to like turn everything on. You know, it's a very, very interesting concept. And is Aragorn like that? Could Aragorn like serve that function? I suppose it could. In fact, fight rigging sounds very good for our deck, but are we like really having a lot of big payoffs with fight rigging? Maybe we are. You know, maybe that's a card. Maybe that's a card we need to look into. So, I mean, it would be very good with Aragorn because I would just cast Aragorn and then play fight rigging, and we'd definitely have that criteria met. But not on curve. Not on curve. I don't think so. So, interesting things to think about. But thanks for hanging out, and I'll post this up as soon as possible.